Well then, would you look at these gaps we've had in the markets at the start of this week? We're going to go over how we're going to use these gaps and what they are showing us. Of course, we've got these gaps because of the geopolitical situations around the world at the moment. And this is what we have in the price action, and it's looking quite interesting based on what we've looked at earlier this week. My name is Dima, and we're going to have a look at the continuation of the high probability setups for this week. Thank you for joining me. Welcome back if you've been here with me before, and if not, then welcome anyway, and if it's your first time. All right, let's begin with the economic calendar. We are going to have quite a few bits to look at and little bits to discuss. Let's start with the economic calendar for today and tomorrow and this week. Here we have Monday was a more quiet day, or expect to be a quiet day because of the bank holidays, but since we have had some major worldwide news going on, if you've been watching what's happening in the Middle East, we have got gaps in the market. And Tuesday today, we've got a speech on the euro, some more minor FOMC news, and tomorrow we have PPI numbers and FOMC minutes later in the day. So we're keeping in mind that we are yet to hit the high impact news for this week, and let's see how we get how we see the markets, how the price action is unfolding in relationship to that. So yeah, we've got some major news coming up. All right, then let's begin as always with the dollar. Here are our charts for the week. We are bearish for the week on the dollar, and we've got that continuation. As you can see, if you watched Sunday's videos, here is a gap that happened, but we're not fazed by this gap because we did expect the continuation to the downside. We did have this swing, and now looking at this as the next zone of reference. So that is yet to be reached into, continuing to the downside, and we've got our invalidation point for the overall bigger trend. Okay, now with that, let's go to the currencies and look at the daily first of all. We have had this gap. If you could see the difference in the price on Monday, let's go down into the 4 hour. Here's that daily gap. We did have a bullish bias still. Here was our invalidation point, and as you can see, that swing was created and we're now moving high into the downside. Let's see whether we get our targets. Okay, so that was the level. The next level would be, oops, let's just copy this, be here. So again, swing continuing to the upside. This is now doesn't look so relevant anymore, this scenario, so we could just move that out of the way. Here is our invalidation. We can move these previous levels off the chart, no longer needed. And this is what we're looking at today, tomorrow, as always matching with the news. And as you can see, we are heading higher, creating a new higher high and a higher low. So that is the bias for euro dollar. Seemed quite clear since we started the week. Let's go to euro pound. And euro pound, we were looking to reach into this interesting zone that matched with the confluence of the trend line, and as you can see, this trend line is now holding. Let's just make it a little bit cleaner. We were looking for this break of this high over here in order to go long, and as you can see, we have left a wick to the upside. The market is rejecting as we speak at the time of this recording. And now let's see if we get that continuation to the downside. So here was that level drawn out. Interesting level. And now we're getting rejection there. And if we do have a continuation, the next point would be here. And of course, next level down will be where we have this zone as you can see, the targets here. So the overall idea is actually to the buy side. We may still get yet more choppiness in the market because of this being the retracement. As we've talked about before, typically the retracements are a bit more choppy, a bit harder to read, and it's much easier to trade with the trend. So that is the overall outlook on Euro Pound. I think that's fairly clear for everybody. Okay, Euro Yen. Now this is a tricky one because we looked at this Friday candle and we said this would be the interesting zone to buy from to continue to the upside. And what happened, based on the weekly that is, and as you can see, the weekly bullish. So for our, what happened? Well, we had our invalidation and the market went right into it, right through it, did not close below, and then reversed sharply. And today we have this big bullish candle, which indicates that we are perhaps resuming, in fact, to the upside. So this may be a failed idea, but with the fact that we are heading higher, we have had a continuation of that bullishness, and we just briefly popped to the low. We did not breach Friday, and this, as you can see on the daily, which is much easier to look at daily, weekly, the higher time frames are king. They're the ones showing you the bigger, more important bias direction, whatever you want to call it. And you can see this inside bar. So this was a brief pause, no reversal price action, and this pause retracement, whatever you want to call it, has now continued. As you can see, the candle closed here, Tuesday opened, and then it rallied higher and broke the high of the previous day. Because of that, the next level to look for now be here, and the invalidation now be here below. So this would now be the interesting thing to look at. And of course, we'll have the next level above higher later on, and that is, well, that was the alternative scenario. Well, for now, what we've got is this bullish bias developing, enveloping the previous candles and continuing to the upside. At least that's what it seems like for now. And of course, the last obvious high, major high here will be the target 1, target 2, and then we're going into these significant numbers, 160, 161, and so on. Okay, so that is the Euro Yen for you. Okay, if you're having an issue, if you're just trying to keep up, then pause the video and then match it up to your charts. Feel free to leave a comment if you've got any comments, or you agree or disagree. No worries if you do. Everybody sees the market through their own lens. That's absolutely fine. Let's move on to the Swiss yen, which was similar to Euro yen in its idea. The bullishness continuing here, as you can see on the weekly, and on the daily. What do we have? Well, yesterday, similar to Euro yen, this inside bar, the market paused, so to speak, just a brief pullback, taking profit, whatever word, whatever reason you want to give it. The point is that in relationship to the previous candle, which was Friday, we have had this inside bar, and looking for that continuation, which we're now having. So what did we look at? Well, we looked at the cheaper possible price of this scenario, which we're now not having, so we can get rid of that. You may have been tempted to buy in here, but whatever the case, we are now developing this scenario over here. So simply put, this level breaking higher, just very bullish, more bullish than the Euro yen even, and this would be the overall idea. And then let's just create move our invalidation point so that we are clear where our parameters are. So that would be this idea. And of course, as you can see, we have this clear swings, many swings and targets to the upside. And ultimately, most likely, I would say, in terms of probability, the ultimate high up here. Okay, that's the Swiss yen. Hope that is clear. Let's go to New Zealand CAD. That was a firm favorite as well from last week. And as you can see, Monday went down, went lower, gapped as well, New Zealand CAD, and this was just another opportunity. And let's just move this to the side. Went into the lower point, created a swing, and now it seems that we are heading higher. Now, the question here would be, are we going to break this high? We really want to break it with some significant force, momentum, before we consider this scenario. And the possibility still exists that we will have a run, another run lower. It's always a possibility, or just a range, I don't know. We'll see how it happens, if it happens, and then we will continue on that buy idea. So either way, firmly a buy scenario, and it seems that now we would be looking to this low to hold, and for the market to continue to the upside. We've already reached these initial swing high points as targets, and then looking for that break. Okay, so that is New Zealand CAD. If you ever have any confusion, by the way, guys, just as a tip, you may already understand the daily picture is much cleaner. 4 hour is alright, but anything lower, you may get a little bit of confusion about. And if you do feel like that, higher time frames are your go-to. Okay, next one on the list is gold. Okay, gold is a funny one. Let's have a look at this in a bit of detail. We were looking at the buy scenario to come back and retrace with the weak dollar. And what have we got now? Well, another massive gap, very big gap here. Massive gap to start the week. And how do we deal with that? Well, this was a scenario we looked at. Firstly, we had this, a move lower and then running higher, or a break higher, retracing and coming and actually moving higher still. Now, the funny thing here is because of this gap, we have had neither, because neither did it go lower and did it not retrace back into this level over here. What does that mean? Well, we'll have to wait until we get some more clarity. At the moment, what it looks like is we are creating higher highs, higher lows, and therefore, since that is what is happening, then we would look for the next target. And the next target, since we've reached this one, would be up here, with the continuation of the weakness in the dollar. Now, market does tend to close in on gaps, but that does not mean that it's going to happen now. The question is when, and if it's going to do it in this week. We can't assume that it will. So at the moment, we're just going to go with the flow. And what is the flow showing us? Well, we've got a level here. Since this is a new high, this is possible low. Then what we'd look for is this being the low, this being a possible level to watch for, and the market to continue to the upside, break, and then continue to the next high up here. Of course, if we break lower and invalidate this idea, remembering that we do have news this week, dollar news, then we may be looking to the downside and coming in right into here to fill this gap. So we can mark that as well, just as a reference point. So the end of the gap is here. So it's possible that we may do something like this. Now we'll put that on the back burner for now and keep this into focus, because that is what the market is showing us so far. So let's wait and see and match that up with the news. So that is gold. All right. Hope that is clear for you. Looking at the daily, you can see bullish, even though we have had this gap. Okay, next one on the list is S&P 500, and this is what we're looking at. Again, bullishness with the weakness in the dollar, and as you can see, we have had that right straight away from Monday, a retracement down, or I should say a gap down, just like the others. And what do we have? Right into this level. Bingo. This scenario has played out, and we are heading higher just as expected. What does that mean? Well, this now becomes the next validation swing, quite obvious to see. And we are reaching into the next levels higher. Let me just move this along. So we have first one, second one up here. And now the scenario has become this, which is after the break, can now delete, it has been broken. So now it becomes this scenario in here. And in fact, you can see that in actual fact, we have closed all these gaps, and this last clean candle, which moved away, which shifted the whole swing, can be called the invalidation point. So there we are. That'll be the next scenario. On the S&P, if you look on the daily, you can see bullish daily candles, still bullish pressure, if you want to call it that, momentum, whatever word you want to use. It seems that we are heading a bit higher. Okay, and that ends today's video. That is the bias, as you can see, playing out. We are just now capitalizing on these movements. So hope that is helping you for today and the rest of this week to help you make your assessment analysis of the market. And yeah, leave a comment down below. Remember to click like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Receive the notifications every time that we put these out, 3 times a week. Thank you for joining me, and I shall see you. Here's the weekly chart again. Shall see you on a Thursday, where we're going to go through another update as always. All right, guys, bye for now, and thanks for watching.